So about 6 months ago, I caught up with one of my mates, Tom Noski. As soon as I met up with him, I saw that he had a smile on his face and he was really excited about something. So I was like, what's going on? Tell me what's happening. And he told me that someone had just bought one of his NFTs for 4 Ethereum that morning, which at the time was equivalent to 16,000 AUD. I was super happy for him and he said that I should get into NFTs and stuff. And I was like, yeah, I'd love to get into them, but I also just want to focus on YouTube because YouTube is what I do full time and I just want to place all my time into that. So fast forward a month, I was about to leave to Europe and I broke my back. So I'm sitting in bed with my back brace on. I literally can't move. I can't do anything. How about I get into NFTs? So I watched this Gary Vee video where he explained NFTs and the power of them, the technology behind them, how they're going to be the future essentially.
The reason people care about a blue check on Instagram is the same reason this is going to be huge. IP is going to see an incredible amount of dollars. Artists, both digital artists and music artists are gonna find a platform that is going to allow them to monetize without people sitting in the middle taking a piece of the cut.
And that changed my whole perspective. Now, if you're new to NFTs or you've never really heard about them before, you're probably as confused as I was about a couple of months ago. So let me explain it to you very simply. Say for example, there are 2 Mona Lisa paintings side by side. One of them is the real genuine original piece and one is a complete fake but looks identical. How do you know which one's worth millions and how do you know which one is worth absolutely nothing? The value isn't necessarily in the artwork, it's in the contract that authenticates it, verifies it, and says that this is the original artwork here. That is the same with NFTs. So you have your JPEG image, which you upload, you make that as an NFT, and someone could just screenshot that, right? Well, they might have the screenshot, but they don't have the contract that is attached to an NFT when you make it. So when you make an NFT, there is a smart contract that is automatically attached to it, and that is stored in the blockchain and cannot be changed ever. So that smart contract is what gives it the value. Says that, hey, I've got this JPEG, this is the original one, and I'm the owner of it. And these smart contracts are another reason why NFTs are changing the art scene for good. Let's say you're a photographer 10 years ago. You open a print store and you sell a print for $100. Great, you've made $100 and that person has an artwork in their house. Now let's say that person sells that artwork to their friend a year later for $200. That person has made money off reselling your artwork, but you as the artist, the person who put their time, effort, heart and soul into this artwork doesn't make any of that commission. If you ask me, that doesn't sound right. When you sell an NFT, you can put in how much percentage of that NFT that you want as a commission for every on sale. So for example, on OpenSea, I've set my percentage to 10%. So in 10 years, if someone sells my NFT for $100,000, I'll get 10 grand off that commission. And for every sale that happens in the future, I'll get a 10% commission off that. It's the first time where artists are finally being paid and their artwork is being valued. Like we always hear about the struggling artist, and being a creative isn't a high paying job, like you're going to be struggling, whereas NFTs now, it's the first time where us artists can actually make money consistently, and making consistent money as an artist is super important as it allows us to just keep going and keep creating. Now let's be realistic, a lot of these NFT projects that are happening right now are gonna fail. Like you have to put time into it. It's not like this magical thing where you can just upload your NFT and you're gonna make $1 million tomorrow. Yes, that's happened to some artists, but that is like the small 0.01%. So what can you do today if you're an artist and you want to get into NFTs right now? First things first, you need to have a Twitter account. Everything surrounding NFTs is all on Twitter. If you're new to Twitter, there are these things called Twitter Spaces, which is essentially like a live group chat where you can either be a listener or a speaker, and you can just listen into conversations where people talk about anything. And in the NFT world, there are so many spaces talking about photography NFTs, artist NFTs, NFTs for beginners. There's a whole range of them. So being in those spaces are great because you can ask questions and you can get your questions answered immediately. I would suggest waiting a little bit. Don't just launch your collection right now, right this second, because the reality is if you don't have an insanely huge audience and you're not an insanely well-known artist, you're not going to sell any of your NFTs. You need to spend time on Twitter, building a community, making people see the value in your work, and just generally being a part of the community. And because I'm still learning about this, I don't necessarily know the best way to sell your collection or how to get people to buy it all. But I do know if you spend a lot of time in the community on Twitter, you will definitely have a way clear understanding of how NFTs work. In the description, there is a PDF which was made by a guy who I actually met on Twitter. His name's Sukrit, and he's got this PDF document and it explains NFTs for photographers really well. So my experience with NFTs was I got a Twitter account. I was engaging in the community. I met heaps of people, heaps of photographers who had launched their NFT collections, and I was asking them questions. I did that for about a month before I actually decided to launch my collection because I wanted to learn about how this all worked and like what's the best way to launch and all that sort of stuff. In hindsight, I would have spent more time actually in the spaces, engaging in the community and even furthering my understanding of NFTs because I still feel like I could have learned a lot more before I launched, but that's okay. So since I've launched, I've sold 9 out of 25 of my images, which I think is pretty good. I mean, it's all a new experience for me, so I'm happy that people have collected my artworks, and I know one day the collection will sell out, but it's just a matter of time. And when it all comes down to it, the most important thing, whether it's you wanting to start a YouTube channel or launch an NFT collection, whatever it is, it's just going to take time, and you always got to remember why you're doing it. If you don't have the passion for all this stuff, it's just going to seem like a chore and you're not going to want to do it. So if you're not passionate about NFTs and it's not something that you want to do, don't feel like you have to do it. Just because it's this new thing and there's all this hype around it at the moment, doesn't mean you have to do it. If you just want to stick to taking photos, that's completely fine as well. I hope that gave you a little bit more of an understanding about NFTs. I know it can be super overwhelming and all that sort of stuff. There's a lot to learn, but it's definitely worth looking into. If you're still confused about NFTs, I don't blame you. It's very confusing. I'm going to leave some videos in the description that helped me get a better understanding of them when I was first sort of learning about them. But yeah, that's all for today's video. As always, don't think, just do.
Repetitious, shop and blaze. Like me, she my serving up every single plate. The hottest in the season, even summer looks away.